everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com. Like the wallpaper sticks to the wall. Yes, we are going to talk about that segment. Oh my word, I don't even know where to begin. There were other things on Dynamite last night as well. Various other things went on. So let's just talk about all of them. How good was AEW Dynamite last night? There's only one way to find out, everybody, and that's by assigning each individual segment a lovely individual grade. That's right, it's time for AEW Dynamite Graded, me and my Shadow edition. But before all of that singing nonsense, we have a tournament to deal with, don't we? Because the two finalists of the tournament are going to clash at Full Gear on November 7th. And we start off Dynamite with just all the first round matches. It's bloody brilliant. The first one of these is Wardlow versus Jungle Boy. A classic David versus Goliath clash. So let's see how it was. The match follows a classic pattern that you'd expect. Both guys are doing really well. Jungle Boy is throwing everything he can at Wardlow. He's so brave, but Wardlow is just too big and strong, of course. At one stage, powerbombing Jungle Boy into the ring post. And as Excalibur reminds us on commentary, those ring posts are not rounded off. There's some nasty 90-degree angles on there to really mess up your back, so I hope Jungle Boy's alright. Jungle Boy starts busting out the dives and the high-paced running sort of moves. Doesn't seem to be doing much damage to Wardlow really, but there's a crucial moment where Wardlow goes for an F5 off the corner and Jungle Boy reverses it into a lovely Frankensteiner and follows it up with a diving double knee drop, but it only gets two. Things spill to the ringside area, or to the ramp in fact, where Wardlow catches Jungle Boy and hits an F10, a spinning F5 over the top rope and back into the ring. Jungle Boy is kind of out for the count. Wardlow hits another F10 just for an exclamation point and picks up the first win of the tournament. He's going on to the next round. This gets a B+ grade. I thought it was a good match. Nothing groundbreaking, classic David versus Goliath stuff, but executed really well. It opened the show nicely, it opened the tournament nicely too, and I think Wardlow winning was the right choice. Presumably, at this stage of the show, I'm thinking he's going to have to really try and batter Hangman in the next round, and Hangman's going to have to bravely overcome. We'll see whether that prediction came true a bit later on, but for now, we have a different tournament match. Ooh. In fact, before we get to the next match, I'm getting ahead of myself slightly. Jon Moxley had a short little video package where basically he announced his opponent for Full Gear, and it was a big one. It's going to be a pretty good match in my opinion, or at least I'm hoping so. It's going to be Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston in an I Quit match. A little bit later on, we get Eddie Kingston backstage giving his thoughts on this as well, so I'll just mention them here. He says, you know what, Moxley, I know that you've changed, but I'll admit, I've changed as well. I became a horrible, bitter, angry, sadistic person, and I hate myself for it. I can't look at myself in the mirror, but it's led me to success. He goes on to say, you know, he's going to destroy Moxley at Full Gear and take the world title and all that because his ends justifies his means. All I have to do is delay. Right, that's enough singing now, Jack. You've done two songs, you've done a swing classic, and you've done Slipknot now as well. So, two ends of the spectrum there. And I'm going to try not to sing again for the rest of this video. The next match of the tournament, a little bit of a switch around. It was originally meant to be Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela, but Janela, of course, got pulled from the show and replaced by Sonny Kiss. It makes sense, they're tag team partners. Omega, who's in the process, of course, of turning heel, gets a big heelish introduction. He's the cleaner once again. There's women dressed in like swimsuits with broomsticks because he's the cleaner, I guess. The ring announcement is absurd. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, introducing PWI's best wrestler ever, the Wrestling Observer's favorite little boy. He's broken Meltzer's star rating system 1,000,000 times. He's fluent in Japanese. That was legitimately one of them as well. It's Kenny Omega, and then he comes out all arrogant, and it's like, ooh, I'm enjoying where this is going. Omega and Sonny Kiss square up. They're bouncing around. Bang! V-trigger. One-winged angel. 1, 2, 3. Kenny Omega wins instantly. And the pinfall is so cocky as well. After he's nailed Sonny Kiss with the one-winged angel, he sits there just like, yeah, of course I've just won the match in seconds. I'm Kenny Omega. It's just fantastic facial acting from Omega. And then he tries to be sporting afterwards as well. He's like lifting Sonny's hand and he's like going, no, my opponent, really good. Not convincing, Kenny. You're a dirty heel and I hate you for it. But it's really good. This gets a B+ grade. It's hard to give such a short segment a higher grade, but I think B+ is justifiable in this case because it's going to lead to great things later on, or at least hopefully it is, and it's a very good early sign. Fans of Sonny Kiss will obviously be annoyed because of how quick the match was over. But I think, like Eddie Kingston, the end's just fine. Done it again. Another tournament match next, and it's the first round match that I was most looking forward to. The Lucha Bros turn on each other temporarily for the purposes of this tournament. Penta taking on his brother, Rey Fenix. Eddie Kingston's out on commentary, of course, for this one. He's remaining impartial, but he's continuing with that whole Penta's my best friend, and Fenix, he's a bloody good high flyer as well. And I'm like, oh, poor Fenix, man. It's continuing, and I'm really sad about it. And if this leads to a Fenix babyface turn because he's not Kingston's best friend, that's going to be hilarious. I don't think it actually will. There's a handshake to start between the brothers, and then they're off to the races. They're countering everything they throw at each other because they know each other's game inside out. Unlike certain wrestlers like, Matt and Jeff Hardy, for example, who didn't really have that many matches against each other in WWE, Penta and Fenix have had various kind of high-profile matches against one another, so this is no step outside of their comfort zone for them. Whereas when Matt and Jeff used to face each other, you always got a sense that it didn't click quite as fully as it maybe should have. But no such issues here. They slow the match down. They start just chopping the hell out of each other's chests. Phoenix goes up top and leaps onto Penta on the outside with a lovely, what's it called, is it a tornado? Just a spinning, corkscrew thing. Almost as good as R-Truth's, actually. No, why have I said that little sarcastic jab at R-Truth? Because his is actually really good. Anyway, R-Truth aside, the match continues. Penta chops the ring post by accident. A lovely spot that he occasionally sprinkles into his matches. He did it at WCPW quite a bit, and it always got a big reaction from the crowd. It's a unique one. Not a lot of wrestlers do it, but when they do, it always gets a pop. They head up top again, and this is where I'm worried the match is about to go off the rails, because Fenix nails a lovely head scissors from the first camera angle we see, but then it becomes apparent that he may have landed on his head. He looks shaken up from the move, and Aubrey Edwards, the referee, spends quite a lot of time talking to him on the mat. And he does look wobbly for about a minute or two, and I'm starting to get flashbacks to All Out, and I'm thinking, oh, should they stop the match here? He doesn't look right. But then somehow he just it was either amazing selling, or he, I think more likely, just managed to shake it off somehow, and it wasn't luckily that serious. But he just starts hitting like Spanish flies from the top rope on Penta, and I'm like, I guess Fenix is okay then. Penta then gets back into the match with a spot that I don't think I've ever seen before, where it's similar to Pete Dunne's X-Plex, but it's really not at the same time. Fenix hits the ropes, charges at Penta, who goes to backdrop him, but instead of backdropping him over the back of his head, he kind of flicks him, and then Fenix goes straight up in the air and spins round into a powerbomb. It's absurd. It's so good. Spot of the night, I think, for my money anyway. Penta takes control. He grabs Fenix's arm. He breaks the arm or yanks the arm, pulls it out of its socket. I don't know what that move does in the non-Lucha Underground universe. Obviously, if Penta did that to you in Lucha Underground, you were done. Your arm was broken for the next however many weeks of television. But in this case, it seems like Fenix has just had his arm yanked a little bit, and he's selling it, but it doesn't stop him from winning the bloody match with an insane destroyer reversal out of nowhere to pick up the 3 and defeat his brother. This gets an A grade from me. A lot of people on Twitter actually were tweeting me saying this needs an A+. I can't quite give it an A+, just because of that scary Fenix moment, and there was 1 or 2 little spots after that big one that were a little bit weird. Just a weird vibe about them. Maybe they were executed a bit slowly. I think Fenix flopped down at one point at the kind of wrong moment for the move. Apart from those minutes, those 2 minutes after that head scissors spot, everything else was wonderful and easily deserving of an A+. But because of that potential botch, I'm only going to give it an A grade. Please don't kill me in the comments. My end's just... Damn it. Next up, we get the final first round tournament match. Hangman Adam Page. My money is on him to become runner-up in the tournament to Kenny Omega, but we'll talk about that another time. But Hangman Adam Page taking on Boom Boom, Colt Cabana. And when this match began, I was like, this might be the one that stands out the least out of all the opening round matches, because we've had that classic big man versus small man match at the start, Wardlow and Jungle Boy. We've had that amazing Kenny Omega squash, and now we've had that excellent match between the Lucha Bros. So this one I was like, I don't know if I'm as hyped for this one. And then it was really good. Yeah, I think this was possibly my favourite Colt Cabana match in AEW so far, because it was just really well developed, well thought out. It was a long match. Brief spoiler here, Hangman won the match, which I'll get onto in a sec. But I really liked the kind of the duality between Hangman taking a long... duality, because I've been slinging Slipknot. Between Hangman taking a long time to win his match and Omega winning his in seconds. I think it bodes well for future rounds. And Cabana holds his own in this match. It's not a comfortable win for Hangman by any stretch of the imagination. Cabana's at various stages reminding us of his amateur wrestling credentials and his surprising agility and speed for a relatively big guy. At one stage, he also shoves Hangman off the top rope, and Hangman takes, a loud bump on the apron. He lands safely, or as safely as he can, but it still looks like it sucks a little bit. Then Hangman starts having to go for the buckshot lariat, and Cabana's got it scouted very well. He avoids it twice, easily avoids it, and you think, well, how's Hangman going to put him away? What he does is he goes for another buckshot lariat, fakes jumping over the ropes, kind of like AJ Styles has done in the past with the phenomenal forearm. Cabana flinches, turns away, but he hasn't actually flipped over the top rope. Then he does it, bang, buckshot lariat as Cabana turns back around, 1, 2, 3, and Hangman's through to the next round. Yeah, this gets an A- grade from me, not quite on the same level as Penta and Fenix, but a very good performance. As I mentioned, I think it was my favourite Cabana match in AEW so far. Great, resilient, fighting performance from Hangman too, and no complaints at all. I really enjoyed it. All the first round matches in their own way really hit the mark. Next up, we get a short little promo on the stage from Team Taz, who come out, and Taz basically says, you know, we offered Will Hobbs a spot in Team Taz recently and he hasn't got back to us yet. That's an update there on what's going on. He also mentions that he's furious that Darby Allin has this TNT title shot at Full Gear against the winner of Cody and Orange Cassidy. And that's another update, what's going on. So it's just like Team Taz checking in with us. It's like Team Taz have made a Facebook status going, hey guys, Will Hobbs hasn't got back to us yet, and we're still feuding with Darby Allin still. So, all good, XOXO, LOL, or LMF. And now we get, oh no, how do I even talk about this without angering someone in the comments on one side or the other? It's a steak dinner between MJF and Chris Jericho. Wasn't what I expected. So the first thing that I noted was that the set didn't look as good as I imagined. I thought they'd actually hire out an empty restaurant, but no, it's just blatantly part of the set somewhere in Daly's place. But then it becomes apparent that the set looks rubbish because they're going to go to a different area and it's just the front of the set. So, oh man, how am I going to talk about this? So first they start off with a lot of tension. They're both ordering steaks that are like, they start off well done and then, you know, medium well and the medium rare, rare blue. They're trying to out-manly each other by ordering the rarest steak. It's quite good. It's a simple, angle, but they're both very funny, so it works quite well. And then, I'll just read exactly what I've got in my notes. Okay, then they bicker a little, then make up, and then sing Me and My Shadow by Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. in full. And that's what happened. Now, obviously, some of the lyrics were changed to take shots at various babyfaces in AEW, like Moxley and Cody and stuff. But largely, it was a full rendition of Me and My Shadow. Brits, like myself, actually may know the song better because it was on Robbie Williams' Swing album where he sang it alongside his best friend Jonathan Wilkes, actually. And I think they both did it a bloody good bit of justice. They did a good rendition of that song. But it's a classic swing song. Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. singing about what great mates they are. And that's what we got on Dynamite. Jericho and MJF. Just living it up. And we had, a dance routine, a slightly ropey one. No offense to the actual dancers they had in there, because, they tried really hard to do their best. But Jericho and MJF, just these two muscular wrestlers going like, my shadow and me. And then all the dancers are trying their best. It was hilarious. It was. But at the same time, what? After the number has finished, they go back to their tables, sit down as if nothing's happened. The steaks get ordered. They're obviously way too rare for either one of them to want to eat. And they call the waitress over, and that's the end of the skit. Now on to the grade. Right, seriously, I could be analysing this properly, saying it was slightly absurdist for AEW. It was a bit strange, wasn't it? But it was in fitting with both men's characters. Maybe they pre-planned this. If I go into it proper kayfabe, then I'm going to end up giving it an A- probably, or an A, because it was really hilarious, but didn't make total sense enough to get an A+. At the same time, though, I don't know what to give it, because a lot of people hated this and used that old argument, oh, if WWE did this, people would crap all over it. And I think in these sort of arguments, context is everything, because it's not what angle you do, It's what angle you do given the pieces that are already in place. WWE could do an angle that AEW could do the next week, and AEW's could totally flop because it's just a different sort of scenario entirely and doesn't call for it. Context is absolutely everything. With that in mind, the context here that they're two really pompous, arrogant guys who sort of begrudgingly respect each other, I think the context kind of works in this scenario. I do agree that it was out of nowhere and it was ridiculous, but I found it entertaining. So I have no choice but to give it an F and an A+ at the same time, and you all can just fight amongst yourselves. Next up, back to normality slightly, we get Britt Baker, DMD, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on KiLynn King, who I don't think I've seen wrestle before, but I was impressed with her. Yeah, KiLynn's got some moves early on, she proves that. They do a bit of a mat wrestling exchange. KiLynn looks very comfortable in there. Britt Baker looks much improved as well, by the way, since coming back from injury. Not that she was ever bad, but she looks like way smoother than before. Did anyone else see that? Britt goes for the lockjaw early on, but gets rolled into a near fall. Then she hits the curb stomp, the Super Dragon version, like over the back, like bang down into the canvas, and I think that's going to be the end of it. But KiLynn King hangs on. She gets a bit of a comeback. Eventually Britt has to hit another stomp, but this time like the Seth Rollins version off the ropes, and then fetches the pink glove from Rebel at ringside, puts it on her hand, locks in the lockjaw, and that's the match. This gets a B+. I enjoyed this way more than I thought I would. Britt Baker looks phenomenal. She looks great. And KiLynn King looked very, very capable as well. The match got a little bit more time than I thought it would. Sadly, once again, it was the only women's match on the show. They need to invest more time in their women's division. But on the whole, I enjoyed this match, and I'm giving it a B+ grade. Hopefully, we see more opportunities for KiLynn King in the future. Next up, we head to Darby Allin's, black and white world that he shoots videos in. And he's with Steve-O of Jackass fame, who these days seems to have mellowed out a bit and seems like a really lovely bloke, actually. But anyway, Steve-O's there, and he's like, "You all right, lads, I'm Steve-O." Doesn't say it like that, but he's like, "I'm here with my friend Darby." We head up a half pipe, and Darby Allin's at the top, about to get into a body bag, and he goes, in Jackass style, "I'm Darby Allin, and this is the half pipe drop in." Then he gets in the body bag and drops in, and lands hard, the bottom of the half pipe, gets out of the body bag and goes, "I'm going to win that TNT championship." Now, I don't know if they gimmicked it or not, because there was a brief moment where he got in the body bag and then paused, and he could have slipped out the back out of view of the camera down the back of the half pipe. But honestly, would you put it past Darby Allin to actually do this stunt? I certainly wouldn't put it past him. When he landed though, we didn't see him immediately emerge. There was a bit of a camera cut, so part of me thinks it was a work. It doesn't really matter if it was a work or a shoot anyway, because he seemed fine, and it's the sort of thing he'd do in character. Don't know what grade to give it, B-, I guess. I mean, I wasn't really impressed by it. I wasn't like, whoa, he's so tough. I was like, mate, he does some nasty things to his body. B-, I think. Steve-O, it was nice to see him involved. Hopefully, I wouldn't mind seeing him get involved at Full Gear if Darby was, having that big TNT title match. Not involved to cost anybody the match or anything, just there at ringside to support Darby. I think that would work pretty well. And finally, the 4-way tag team match for the #1 contendership to FTR's tag team titles. We've got the Young Bucks, we've got John Silver and Alex Reynolds of the Dark Order, we've got the Butcher and the Blade, and we've got Private Party. Let's go. A few things to clear up before we start talking about the match. FTR are on guest commentary for it, Matt Hardy's out with Private Party, and the Bunny is back with the Butcher and the Blade, which happened on Dark when Eddie Kingston seems to have brought it back into the fold for, Butcher and Blade away from QT Marshall. But they haven't really explained it at all, so I'd quite like a bit more background on this. There's a nice moment early on when the Bucks are dominating and then Private Party get in the ring and they have a big face-off. And last week, obviously, the Bucks made Private Party look like fools, like handshaking them and then super kicking their heads off. They go for it again. I'm like, are they going to punk out Private Party again? But no, this time Private Party are ready and super kick the Bucks' heads off. I was like, yes, that's a nice little development there. Private Party run wild a little bit. Mark Quinn with a terrifying leap, by the way, off the top rope to the outside with only Alex Reynolds to catch him. And he does. He manages to, but man, it looked scary. It's worth pointing out as well that I read a report that apparently Reynolds was knocked out at some point during this match. I don't think it was there because I think he was involved later on. I think it was towards the end, but apparently Cody came out and made sure he was okay and they went to the back or whatever. Google it because it'll be out there. But yeah, Alex Reynolds apparently, well, it's good to hear that he could walk out. It's good to hear that he was hopefully okay. At one stage, Sammy Guevara pops out of nowhere at ringside and attacks Matt Hardy, and they brawl off, and that's their match set up for Full Gear. It's going to be an Elite Deletion match, which sounds a little bit more cinematic than the ill-fated Broken Rules match was. At one stage, the Dark Order tried to recruit the Butcher and the Blade by doing the hand thing, and Butcher and Blade look like they're about to, but then Ali gets on the apron and distracts them by doing a sexy dance, like Maria Kanellis distracting the Bullet Club in New Japan. We've all seen the gif, don't lie. But the Dark Order managed to take control of the match and go on a little run of their own. John Silver, looking like a mini Cesaro at one stage, flying all over the place, taking lads out, jumping off the apron, over the guardrail, running back inside, bang. I mean, I was really, it was great to watch. It was really impressive, and I think I like John Silver a lot now, despite him being a little horrible man. Now it's the Bucks' turn to run wild once again. They do an Indie Taker senton combo off the top rope, falling backwards into a pinfall attempt, and while calling out FTR on commentary as well. It's just Young Bucks things, isn't it? It's just what they sort of do. And the ending comes when the Bucks set a Private Party for the Meltzer Driver, and Private Party reverse it like they did to win the first round of the tag team tournament last year. Looks like there's going to be another upset, but this time Matt Jackson reverses the roll-up in his own favour. 1, 2, 3. Cassidy's shoulder may have been just off the canvas, but it was close enough to, I think, give them the benefit of the doubt. And the Young Bucks are #1 contenders. FTR hit the ring and offered the Young Bucks a couple of beers. The Bucks slapped the beers out of their hands. So a masked man hits the ring and slaps them with a chair from behind. And we're like, who's this masked man? FTR go a bit crazy. They're really taking it to the Bucks. They Pillmanize Matt's leg with a steel chair. And I'm like, who's this masked man? And to close the show, the masked man unmasks. And it's their manager anyway, Tully Blanchard. So not quite certain what the mask was for. This gets an A- grade. Very nicely, very intelligently put together match. Everybody got a little moment to shine. And of course the Bucks had to win, setting up that dream match, which I think will be the first in a series of matches actually for Full Gear. But yeah, it's going to be very exciting. But how good was Dynamite overall? I'm going to give it an A grade. I thought the show flowed wonderfully. I thought it was a good idea putting all the tournament matches back to back because they were all different in their own distinctive ways. It didn't tire out, certainly me watching it at all. I thought it was great. And then we had that big tag team main event as well, which was also very fun. MJF and Jericho as well. I don't know what to make of it. Do leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'm sure there'll be a lot of different ones about that. And, you know, stay safe out there, stay positive, and I'll see you very soon.